All right. Um, Again, you see, man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. You are a part of him. He is a part of you. Now, there are two members of the Elohim, and we knew you never knew their names. You called them often, but you didn't know who they were. They have 5 sisters. Some of you have often spoken of the 3rd sister. You simply did not know what you were saying. And in this lesson, I'm going to give you those 3 names. You do know them. You just never knew that they were sisters of the 7 eyes of Allah, the Elohim. Now, here in this secret key, it gives you the name of 2 of them. Creative Fate. Fate is one of the Elohim. Her sidekick is Destiny. They have jobs. The 3rd sister, the one whose name you use often, but you don't know who you're talking about, her name is Karma. She is a sister of the Elohim. Remember, the Elohim are responsible for everything that ever was, is, and is going to be forevermore. These are some very powerful girls. They each have a job. Let me confer these degrees upon you. Fate's job. Fate chooses the hour. That is Fate's job. Destiny chooses the action. And Karma's job is to mete out justice. And so when people say, oh yeah, that's Karma. Yeah, you're calling her name, but you don't know who she is. She is one of the 7 eyes of Allah. Yeah, she's one of the Elohim. Now, one very important fact here, which you must remember as we continue going through these sacred scriptures here. And that is, fate and destiny, they come through the birth canal with you. They come through the birth canal with you. And their job is to do all of the heavy lifting in your life. That's their job. They are your caretakers. They are your caretakers. Now, many amalgamated Moors, and I have heard them myself, they actually believe that they create their own fates. And they do. They actually do. And it is because they do not have a soul. Our ancestors could not put a soul into them when they created them. And so our amalgamated Moorish nieces and nephews, they do not have souls. And among the things that they do in order to feel alive, among the things they do is they jump off bridges on rubber bands. They jump out of perfectly good airplanes, and they climb mountains, none of which a man with a soul would actually set out in his daily life to do. And especially a mountain whose first name is Killer Man. I mean, and you angels, you all don't need to do that to feel alive. They do. They get what they they get a rush. They say, I feel alive. They feel alive when they tempt death because we could not put a soul into them. And these are some of the ways that they feel alive. These are the things that they create in order to feel alive. And so, yes, we must help them. We must help them. And again, that is fate and destiny who come through the birth canal with you. Once you acknowledge them and give yourself over, and by giving yourself over, what I mean is this. When you learn that you don't know what you're doing behind the wheel, let me give you some fine examples. You want to be in control, right? You want to drive the car. You want to get behind the wheel because nobody knows better about what you want to do than you, right? All right. So you behind the wheel. Now, see, being behind the wheel, there's a lot of work. That's a lot of work up there. Yeah. It's a lot of work behind the wheel. You got to keep your eyes in the rear view mirror. You got to keep your eyes in the side mirror on the right. You got to put your eyes in the side mirror on the left. You got to keep an eye on the gauges. Oh my God, what song do you want to play? I mean, it's a lot of work. It's too much work up there. And I conferred these degrees upon you earlier when I stated the only thing that man has not learned, and it is the hardest thing for man to learn, and that is how to get out of his own way. And so, after crashing into guardrails and, slamming into trees and driving off cliffs and whatnot, you still want to get behind the wheel. You haven't learned anything. You have not learned. You don't know what you're doing. Now, what ought to happen is you learn from your mistakes. And when you know, and you have the degrees I'm about to confer upon you, life truly does get easier. Once you learn you don't know what you're doing, climb your little behind over the back of the front seat and sit in the back seat. Now what you're going to learn sitting in the back seat, because you're not doing all of that heavy lifting up there behind that wheel. See, when you were behind the wheel, you see that green regulatory sign coming up, and all the next thing you know, you're past it. And the only thing you know for sure is that you saw a green regulatory sign, and it was saying something. In the back seat, oh, you can see the sign as the conveyance approaches. Oh, you can study every letter and syllable in the back seat. You know exactly what that sign says. And now you are better equipped to deal with where the car is going, because now you have insight, because you had the time and you had the heart to even bother to study the sign. Taking a 360-degree view of life is a wonderful thing, which is another advantage of sitting in that back seat. You see, look, nothing is more important than this, especially if you have been one of those children who sat in the back seat and nobody wanted to give up that window, and you had to sit on the hump. You had to sit in the middle of that thing. Well, now you don't have to fight anybody for a window seat. And when you get a little fatigued, you can stretch out in that back seat. You got the whole back seat to yourself. And upon retiring from your repose, you get up, you look around. Where are we at now? Well, you can take a 360-degree view of where you are at. You see, you can see everything now because you are not doing the driving. And another thing that you can be assured of, when the conveyance stops and fate pulls over to the side of the road, destiny gets out because destiny is now your footman. So destiny gets out and she opens up that back door. Well, the only thing to do now is get out and stand there. And you stand there with no preconceptions and no ideas about anything. All you are doing is employing the first degree by patiently waiting. And by patiently waiting, there is one thing that you can certainly be assured of. And that is that whatever's coming, it's going to be wonderful. And do you know why? Because you didn't have your hand in it. That's why it's going to be wonderful. Let the girls do their job. All you have to do is acknowledge that they are there and let them take over. And the things that begin to occur in your life, don't you dare call them coincidence or happenstance. The correct term is as fate would have it, because that's who's doing the driving. Not, oh, it's a coincidence that, It is as fate would have it. As fate would have it. She's one of the Elohim. Everything she does is her doing. Everything she does is her doing. Now, getting back to the scripture. Creative fate gave to man, to spirit man, mind you. Now this, I must inform you, this is during your fall. Remember when y'all went too far on the front porch because you didn't know where it ended? Well, this is during your fall. You're falling now. Okay? And one of the sisters, one of the seven eyes of Allah, who is fate, she gave to spirit man because you had to fall through two other spirit planes before you got to the plane of soul. And so while you were falling to 6th and 5th heaven, which are spirit planes, creative fate, she gave man a soul so that he might function on the plane of soul. Let me confer these degrees upon you when you read or hear that he might function on the plane of soul. What this means is fate had to give him a soul so that he could fit in unobtrusively on the plane of soul. Because remember, now you're a spirit. You are a spirit. Therefore, should you show up on the plane of soul in your true spirit form, you would cause chaos and confusion. And so fate had to give you a soul so that you could function on the plane of soul without sticking out and scaring everybody, making national emergencies and whatnot. Because everybody will know you don't belong here. That's what they'll know. And fate gave you a soul so that you can function on the 4th plane of existence. Okay? That's why you have a soul. But there was a reason for you going to the plane of soul. Get into that at a later date. And fate also gave to spirit man a body of flesh. And this was so he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Okay? This three-dimensional plane, second heaven, known as earth. And you all had to have bodies because you're limited now to 3 dimensions, you know. But you had a safety net. This place was here before you were. So you had a place to fall to. How very convenient, huh? At any rate, fate gave man a body of flesh that he could function on the plane of things made manifest. Because again, you would get the same reaction if man showed up as a soul on the plane of things made manifest. People would call them ghosties and things, spooks and things that go bump in the night. So, this is why man has a body. He's on a 3-dimensional plane now. Not only that, he had to be given attributes that he didn't need. Because now, you got to see, feel, smell, hear, touch, taste. You got to do all of that now. Now that you're here, you have to do all of that. So gave man a body so he could function on the plane of things made manifest. Now the question is, why did fate give to spirit man a soul? That he might function on the plane of soul. Well, we just went over that. Because he caused chaos and confusion in spirit form. And why did fate give to soul a body? A body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Well, again, the same answer applies, except in the place of a spirit, now we have the soul. Okay? Now, these are the words Allah spoke to everything in creation. He's talking about you. You, his children, his angels who fell here. I want you to pick up what the good book is putting down. Hear now, ye cherubim, ye seraphim, ye angels, and ye men. Hear now, O protoplast, earth, plant, and beast. Ye creeping things of earth, ye fish that swim, ye birds that fly, ye winds that blow, ye thunders and ye lightnings of the sky, ye winds that blow. Yes, you can control that. We'll get into that at a later date as well. Hear now, ye spirits of the fire, of water, earth, and air. O everything that is or was or evermore will be. And here are the words. For wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. That's seventh heaven. That's Pop talking. That's Pop talking. Now, without going through all of that again, let me finish this. Man is a thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. These are his words. And because he said it, it is so. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. And they are not measured up by time. That means, the hands on a clock. That's not how we measure time. Not at all. We measure time by the cycle of the ages. And remember, in one of the videos, I explained to you that what the amalgamated more than the rest of the world consider global warming is simply Earth going through another of her cycles. She does this about every 3,600 years. That is an age. And she is different in every age. And she is simply going back to her tropical state. And so, no, we do not measure time by the hands on the clock. It is the ages that tell the true time. And so, because those things that are concerned with time, they begin and end. And that is why we do not measure time by the hands on a clock. Now, the thoughts of Allah are the everlasting of the past. Again, you've always been here. You are everlasting. And you are the everlasting of the past unto the never-ending days to come, which is telling you you will always be. You cannot die, angels. You can't die. The most that can happen to you is you drop this meat sack. That doesn't mean you're dead. And if you were worth any measure on the human scale in terms of human economy, even when you throw off your meat sack, you will still not be dead as long as there are those who hold you in here. Trying to demonstrate to you how very special you are as angels, as the fallen angels. And there is so much more you could be. But I'll continue. Now, the thoughts of Allah are the everlasting of the past unto the never-ending days to come. And so is man. And so is man. The spirit man. You can't die. You cannot die. You simply cannot. It is against the will of Allah. You can't die. No, that runs counter to his will. And as one of his angels, he willed you live forever. Your big challenge? Getting back home to him. The ideal way to get back home is the way Yeshua did it. Transmogrification, baby. That's the way. That's the ideal way to go back home. Transmogrification. Transmogrify. Like Yeshua did. That's the ideal way to go back home to him. The only way you left was through your own willfulness. Well, let me continue. We don't measure time by clocks and such. But man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed. A seed that had to be germinated by Allah. You see? It was a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah. Do I need to say that again? Because I will. I will. A seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah. Here's your first clue that you've got everything in you that He has in Him. You are His angels. Why wouldn't you? Especially on this nothing three-dimensional. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Really? Let me continue. You've got every part of him in you. Oh, just as the seed of any plant of earth holds deep within itself the attributes of every part of that particular plant. Meaning, a rose seed is only going to bloom and breed rose seeds. That's it. It's not going to do chrysanthemums. It's not going to happen. It has to be of that rose. And you are of God. You are of God. Now, now, again, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. Remember, you're still falling. You haven't landed yet. You're still falling. And so you, as the seed, you are unfolding during your fall. Just as the bud unfolds to show the flower, you are unfolding into what you will ultimately become, which is man, check that, which is love made manifest in the form of man. That is what you will ultimately become. But inside of you, you are an angel in a Halloween costume. You're an angel costumed up. Or, another term I like to use, this is your spacesuit. This is your spacesuit. This is what you had to have to come here and walk around and be amongst the others. You look just like this. And there you go. However, just as that seed has in it everything that it got from its progenitor, it's got in him. The same with you. You've got everything in you that Pop's got in him. Everything. Everything. Now, the child is as perfect as the mother is. Well, let's not get off on that one. But it is the truth from the Holy Scripture. And what else can you say? So man, the seed must be deeply planted in a soil that he might grow and unfold, as does the bud unfold to show the flower. Check this out with a codicil. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained. Ordained. That means ordained by Pops. There is no higher authority. There just isn't. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and the plane of things made manifest. Now, personally, if I were hearing this for the first time, I would rejoice. Because that would be considered the good news. The good news. And the thing is, that good news only comes through that old-time religion. That is where that good news comes from. And that is the only good news where man is concerned. You all are truly blessed. Come home. We just want you to come home. We don't want to jack you up. We don't want to do that. You got some trials coming because you've earned them. You have earned them. And these things you must go through. Bearing in mind all of the time, you did this. You did it. Because you could have done something about it and you didn't. Not that this, you got to do penance for it or anything. Besides, that's those other guys. We don't do that. We understand that it is what it is and the reason why it is. As man, it is your responsibility to do that. And that, all the time, involves thinking. But to continue, the human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and the plane of things made manifest. You are gods here. You angels, you are gods here. But so many of you are in the dark that the dark is all you know. And that is not what you are. Man, know thyself should not just be a slogan over large house doorways. It is the responsibility of every man to know who he is. And you are angels, and you need to know this. It is the only way you are going to be a benefit to not only one another, but to the world at large. And this is because you will have learned how to love instead of hate. The only way you can do that truly is by knowing who you are. Man, know thyself. And continue. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is. Now, the word husband, Allah is the husbandman. He's the husbandman of everything that is. And, of course, the word husband, it does not mean someone to nag the pants off of every day or to use as a human ATM with no other regard. No, that is not what a husband is. Husband means house binder. That is what husband means. House binder. He binds the house. He holds the house together. He holds the house together, and the wife maintains and holds the home together. You see, there really are specific jobs for the specific genders, regardless of what this world is trying to convince man and mankind otherwise. But I'll continue. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth this human seed into the soil of soul. And that is absolutely correct, because remember, we fell through 2 spirit planes to get to the plane of soul. Things began to get a little murky because we're spirit. And so, he threw the human seed into the soil of soul, and it grew apace, meaning the soil of soul, or the soul, grew apace with man, because remember, you're a spirit. Your vibration rate is so astronomically high, it is incalculable. Having once donned that soul, your vibration rate began to lower. Now, your vibration rate, it was lowering every heaven you fell through. You were no longer on the highest vibration level. That's 7th heaven. You left there. You went to 5. Your vibration rate was lower. Those are lower spirits. 6. And then to 5. Lower, even lower spirits. Their vibratory rates are not as high as yours. And you went down to 4. Fourth level of existence. Then your vibratory rate began to decline. And so your soul, it grew apace, and man became a living soul. It's like one of Tony Stark's Iron Man suits flying from New York to Wakanda in a matter of a couple of seconds. And then it just puts itself on him. It's kind of how the soul went, because it grew apace with your fall. It was keeping up with you. It was like one of Tony Stark's Iron Man suits. Breaks out the glass in Stark's tower, flies halfway across the world to Wakanda, and is on Tony's back in less than 3 seconds. That's the soul. The soul was keeping up with your fall. It was keeping up with your fall. It grew apace, and man became a living soul. And he became the Lord of all of the kingdom of the soul. You see, man was playing Loki in the first Avengers. When he was walking and then he put on his Asgard, outfit. Well, after he killed the Chancellor and took his eyeball out. But that's kind of how that went. It's kind of how that went. Loki wanted to come to Earth and be the Lord over it. You actually did become the Lord over the plane of soul as the new arrival. Yeah. You have that authority. You sure do, because you are the Lord of the plane of soul. You know why? Because Pop said so. He told you. Here now, everything that was and is ever going to be, I need you to listen up. My angels are going to be the lords of whatever plane they exist on in their fall. That's why. Because Pop said so. What other reason do you need to know that you are love made manifest? Let me give you a few more of these lessons so that you may rightly know just how special you are. Dig this. Dig this. He said, let every creature hear. And I mean hear as in listen up. Let every creature listen up. The plane of soul is but the ethers of the spirit plane vibrating not so fast. That's exactly right. You leave the spirit plane, everything else is slow. Vibrating not so fast. And here is the explanation as to why and what your mission is here on this plane of things made manifest. I want you to pick up what I'm putting down for you now. I'm going to confer these degrees upon you. And in the slower rhythm of this plane, in the slower rhythm, remember, you're not in seventh heaven anymore. And your vibratory rate is not so high anymore. In the slower rhythm of this plane, the essence and the essences of life are manifest. You see? Now you can smell, feel, touch, hear, speak, all this other stuff you never had to do before. You've got 5 senses that were given to you. You got to use them every day. Every day. And you had to learn how to use those as an infant. But the perfumes and the odors, and the true sensations and the all of love are manifest. That means you. You are love. You are love made manifest. That is what you are. And when you know these things, you can begin to do better for yourself and by yourself and be of service to others than yourself. These things are true. These are the secret keys that were held back from the world for you. For you, because you knew nothing of yourself. But let me continue. And these soul attributes became a body beautiful. That's because he made you like him. Pop did. He made you like him. You look like him. You look like Pop. Now, can you be paid a greater compliment? To be his first thought, be able to live forever and never die, and be made the Lord of two, count them, two separate planes of existence. Who else has got that? Who else has got that? Nobody but his angels. This means you. Nobody else has got it. And so these soul attributes became a body beautiful. Now, here's where your job comes in. A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul, and here he tarries many ages. Now, you don't tarry there many ages before you get here. You hang out on the plane of soul after you leave, after you drop your meat sack. You see, when you don't leave, let me clarify something. When you do not leave here the way Yeshua did, when you don't transmogrify, and you drop your meat sack, you go to you go in the box, people boo-hoo around you, and then you go in the dirt. Well, if you don't leave here the way Jesus did, then that's the only way to go. Meaning, you go back home the same way you came. You take that same route. Now, what I am saying is this. Once you drop your meat sack, you go straight to fourth heaven. You go straight to the plane of soul. You go right back there. It's the last place you were before you got here, right? And so you go back that way. And that is when you sit across from Sister Karma, who will reach behind her and pull down one of your volumes. And she will read from it. The volume she will be reading from are the books that you write every day. Because regardless of what you have been told and taught, man is known by his words, works, and deeds. And these things are written in a book by unseen hands, but they're yours. And you must own them because yours are the only volumes she has behind her. And you will have to answer for some things. Now, this may even sound a little unfair, but I have to confer this degree upon you so that you will be quicker on the draw with your compass to keep your soul, from running amok. But when you go to the plane of soul, when you go back to the plane of soul, and you're sitting across from Sister Karma, you have to answer for your soul. You have to answer for what this wild chick does. Now, I know that it might even seem a little unfair, but that's the way it is. You have to answer for her. And this should inspire you to be quicker on the compass, because the only way your soul can drag you through the mill is you do not draw your compass and draw boundaries around your desires. Because once your soul gets a hold of those desires and you don't put her in check, you're done. You're done. And so, personally, I think it's quite accurate that you answer for her, because your job is to keep her in check. And when you don't, that is on whom? You. It's on you. But let me continue. You see, upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ethers begin to vibrate slower still. And then the essences took on a final garb. Now check this out. You're still falling. You're almost here. You've almost landed. You're almost finished falling. The perfumes and the odors and the true sensations and the all of love were clothed in flesh. That's you. That's you. You were clothed in flesh because you are love. And everything that you brought here to this plane with you is what made you up. This includes your soul, your humanity, and yada, yada, yada. All of that. That's what's in the luggage you brought with you when you came here. And that is what you are, you angels, you. And so, the all of love were clothed in flesh. And man was clothed in flesh. You see? Now, I'm going to give you the shortcut to this. I want you to picture yourself on that 6-foot ladder and you're hanging drapes. And you know when you get to about the middle of that picture window? Well, there's that spot that's just beyond your fingertips. But if you go up another rung and reach over, you know you can go ahead on and put that hanger up there. Because you know these drapes got to go. It don't look like it's only a couple of inches. Well, you reach out. And you feel that ladder going forward like you, so you back up. And then you realize you are headed toward the floor. And what is your first reflex response? Grab those drapes. So as you head toward the door, you reach that right arm or that left arm out and you grab those drapes like they're going to break your fall. All you're doing is making more work for yourself, but that's not going through your mind right now. It's about how you're going to hit that floor. So you drag the drapes with you. That's essentially what happened when you got here. That's essentially what happened when you got here. You drag stuff here with you. That's what's in your luggage. And perfected man, when man becomes perfected. Now, the way we get it, Cousin Yeshua was the only one so far. His is the only picture hanging up in Dad's office. His is the only picture hanging up in Dad's office. You know what's under it? My only son who successfully made it home, who successfully graduated. Well, me and the other archangels, we used to pass by the office and see that. You know why we weren't bothered by it? Because what we know is that was Melchizedek. He was no ordinary man. So, of course, he's going to pass. He was perfect. He was perfect before he got here. That's Melchizedek. So, that didn't bother us. But at any rate, perfected man must pass through all the ways of earth life. All the ways of earth life. Yeah. Get as much out of life as you can. Translate it. Learn something every day. Pass on as much as you can and be of unselfish service to man. That's pretty much it. Your job isn't difficult here. It really isn't. But you must learn. Learn about love so that you can be about love. Remember, I explained to you, when you learn, you know. And when you know, you must become what you know. Now you came here as love. You simply forgot. Because all that you knew in infancy is gone. Because you were not conscious enough to hang on to it. And that includes angelic speak, the angelic language, all the way to the beginning of the creation of the world. You have no more recollection of that as an infant on this plane. And so your learning must come from being here and doing things on earth as a man, since it is through your own willfulness that you are here. Accept what you have done and heed the directions and instructions that will get you back home. We want you home. We miss y'all. You know, we miss coming by there, you know, giving you milk and cookies and stuff. We miss hanging out and chopping it up with y'all. We can't even do that no more because y'all ain't there. You're here now. We can't even chop it up like we used to. And, you know, we always looked out for you. We always looked out for you. And I'm here to do that again because, again, I love you. But now check this out. This is about you. This is about you. And so, you know, you got to pass through all the ways of Earth life. And this is the story of man so far. It's the story of man so far. And so a carnal nature was full manifest. Yes. Yes. That's the animalistic aspect of being here on this plane, which is why some of the things that you do to one another are so savage and incomprehensible. It is something that only a man could think of doing to another man. Animals don't do that. Animals don't do that. You're angels. Act like it. But in order for you to do that, you must learn about you. You must learn about you. Understand this. I'm not through. And so your carnal nature was full manifest. And the nature that sprang forth from fleshly things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. And you know what? The biggest, nastiest, relentless foe you will ever face is you. You must fight you every day. Let me finish. And thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. Let me translate that for you. You see, your thoughts, they should continue to get higher and higher. That's called development. And that can only happen when your thoughts run in the direction of those things which contribute to the development of something. And the reason is because thought is the cause of it all. And when you raise your thoughts to high, at any rate, let me finish. I don't want to go off on a tangent here about that just yet. And thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. You must have the strength to resist those things which are neither beneficial to you nor mean you any good in the long run of things. You see, because it takes strength, and it goes back to those elemental 3 degrees: patience, discipline, and your powers of discernment. You can't go anywhere without those first 3 degrees. And so, and these things, his carnal nature became a foe that man must fight. In a nutshell, that's what occurred. That's your story. You see? You see? That he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. And why not? You're made in his image. You have all of the power and powers that he has. Can you make it make sense to you why it is you are not thinking on a higher level? Can you give yourself a reason you are not doing this? Prayerfully, after having viewed this, it will inspire you to do more during these times when you are sitting there, housebound, doing nothing. The most exciting thing you can do for yourself is to learn more about self. That is the most fun you can have with your clothes on. Now, being the strength of Allah on earth, that is a place that all men should strive for. All men should strive for that. Being the strength of Allah. If you want to believe in something, believe in you to the point where you actually do something with you. Do something with you. And let me go. Let me go on here. Oh. And you see, thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. These are more standing orders from Pop. Let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, plant, and of beast. But you did something. You didn't know you did it, but you did. But he gave up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. You see, man truly does love the dark. You've been living the white life for so long. Now that you're in this form, wallowing in the dirt and the mud seems to make you happy. Certainly does. But that's okay. Because as long as you're still alive, there is still a chance for you to be about you, know about you, etc. Yeah, he gave up his birthright, and being the Lord here was a part of your birthright. He gave it up, and just to gratify your lower selves. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Now, do you have any idea of what that actually means? Well, what that means is those wars and battles, they're going to take place within you. They're going to take place within you because you are the biggest enemy you will ever face. Not to mention, you got Satan hanging out in you, and you know he's subject to pop up. And boy, if you don't have that second degree on lock, if you haven't mastered that second degree, Satan's gonna get you. Satan's gonna get you. But at any rate, he will regain his lost estate and his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. That's because you must suffer trials and temptations manifold. But let him know that the cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun and spirit of the mighty Allah who rule the solar stars are his protectors and his guide. Said guide, your protectors and your guide. Not they're going to do your work for you. That's not what the sacred scripture says. No, not going to do it for you. Simply your guides. And and they will lead to victory. Man will be fully saved, redeemed, and perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well, and it will fall. It will be no more. Then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul, where he must full complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before man upon the plane of soul. These he must overcome them every one, meaning every one of them. Thus hope will ever be his beacon light. There is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure. Now, let me explain this. There is no failure for the human soul. As I've explained to you, when you sit across from Sister Karma, your soul is sitting there in that other chair, and you are responsible for her. Now, you have just learned that there's no failure for the human soul. And here's why. You see, the soul, the actual soul, the inhabitant of the fourth plane of existence, she's in you. And when she gets out of control and you don't catch her and put that compass on her, she'll go. And she will drag you with her. And she does not care about you. She does not care what she drags you through. She does not care. And it is in your best interest to keep her under control at all times. You pull that compass out because she means trouble for you in the end if you are not careful. Because she is only looking for the truth. She's only searching for the truth. And she does not care about you on her way to finding it. Only the poor dear does not know that she is never going to find the truth on this three-dimensional plane of lies. She's not going to find it, poor thing. But she doesn't know that. And you can't explain it to her. You just can't. But you should take a page out of her book, and you should be seeking the truth all the time. All the time. And man will then attain unto the blessedness of perfectness and be at one with Allah. So, having done your time here, when you finally do get to go home, chances are you will have learned some things on your journey back home. And this ran a little long, but I felt compelled to offer you all some knowledge and words of inspiration here today. And I pray that I have done just that. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And you take care of one another. You love one another. And you protect one another. Until next time, I bid you peace.